part of that, aspirants picked up nomination forms and filing has begun. We brought you Details of Ohene Agyapong's filing yesterday. Today, flagbearer hopeful Kennedy Ohene Agyapong has formally entered that race to lead the party into the 2028 general election, filing his nomination forms. Now, it marks the second time the former Asin Central MP is contesting for the MPP's presidential slot following an unsuccessful bid in 2023. Now, addressing hundreds of supporters after submitting his forms at the party's headquarters, the outspoken legislator and businessman demanded fairness from the elections committee ahead of the race.
All I'm saying is, I am pleading with you to vote for Kennedy Agyapong, because in the bus, truck bus, wherever you go, market, Ghanaians are crying for Kennedy Agyapong to lead this country. So don't listen to anybody who will come and intimidate you because of his own selfishness. The party victory is paramount, and therefore we need to come together without intimidation and make sure we select a winnable candidate that can win 2028 election for the party. So please, no intimidation whatsoever. No more fears. Obia Nobia. We are going to vote with our conscience. We are going to listen to what Ghanaians are saying and cast our vote. Again, Ghanaians are looking for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. Choboy, we are no more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then vote for Kennedy Agyapong for life. Choboy. Some people say, Choboy. Some people say they have ideas. I have both ideas and creativity. I have done it before, and I continue to do it. So if I tell you I'm going to create jobs for you, believe in me. Let's ask some of the candidates what they have done in terms of jobs.
And that's Kennedy Ohene Agyapong on what he intends to do. And his spokesperson, Kwesi Kwarteng, for the Kennedy Ohene Agyapong campaign as well, he spoke to 3FM and said they are taking the necessary steps to secure victory for the former member of parliament.
So well with the grassroots. And so the natural expectation is that when he is doing a public event, undertaking an event of such nature, certainly you expect some numbers. But in terms of the magnitude, in terms of the size, in terms of the quantum, you realize that even the whole street was filled with the numbers we were not expecting. And of course, I mean, we are humbled by that. By demonstrate that the people are so eager for bringing a candidate that will win us 2028. I mean, we realized the chant that was going on, it was about a chant for change. Everybody said we are bringing Kennedy, no vote. I mean, that's I don't really like, because I believe that as a party we should all be able to come together and present one candidate. But these are people who are bent on and resolved. Can did not come. You realize that the party's performance was down. From 6.7 million, we moved down to 4.6 million. That's about 31% loss. If we go to the northern part of the Ghana, about 16%. The southern part of Ghana, about 33% reduction. So the people are so eager for change. We are humbled. We are grateful to them. This is not just a presentation of our nomination form. but it's a strong statement, it's a strong declaration that in 2028, Ken is going to win power for the NPP. You recall in the last previous election, almost 137 MPs were all shipped to support one candidate. Almost all DCs, the 276 DCs, were all shipped to support one candidate. You look at the government appointees, over 6,000 of them were all shipped to support one candidate. You dare not decide to support Ken if you were a minister of state. But today the story has changed. You saw the number of ministers, at least those former ministers, you could count roughly about 20 of them. This time around, we are saying that nobody is going to go down to be intimidated. No. The level of coercion that we witnessed in the previous election, this time we are not going to tolerate that. We are saying that we will respect all the rules, all the guidelines so far as this election is concerned, but we are not going to demonstrate weakness in this election.
That's Akwesi Kwarteng, who is the spokesperson of the Kennedy Ohene Agyapong campaign, and we will follow up on this subject matter for you because we know that Brian Echampo is expected a lot later, if he hasn't already as well, to file his nomination. And if you've been following the NPP presidential race, it's become quite a very interesting spectacle over the last few weeks and months where salvos are being fired from all corners, left, right, and center from the different camps, and it served for an interesting watch. Persons who are close to the party, amongst many other things, are asking for restraint. We've seen a statement as well that's come through from Brian Echampo, who's seeking to state, amongst many other things, that he's seeking to calm tempers and urge for a unification of all fronts. But in all of this, we know as well that the party as a functioning entity has been speaking a lot more today as well, outside of all of the nominations being filed. And that's in relation to the Akwetia by-election expected next week, Tuesday. Now, at a media briefing earlier today, the Director of Communications at the NPP, Richard Ahiagba, alleged, amongst many other things, that the NPP has picked up information that the governing NDC has hired and trained alleged thugs under the guise of national security to foment trouble during the Akwetia by-election. Now, that election, like I mentioned, is scheduled for next week, the 2nd of September, following the passing of the constituency's Member of Parliament, NSE Aokumi, following a short illness. We'll hear from Richard Ahiagba. Then we subject that to a bit more scrutiny with responses from the NDC.
Upon the assurance of the IGP, we want to make it abundantly clear that any soldier involved in the Akwetia by-election will be considered and dealt with by election. We are also reliably informed that the NDC has been training some of the thugs they used or deployed in Ablikmanov parliamentary rerun under the guise of national security and intends to clandestinely clothe them in police uniform to deploy them during the by-election. The NDC and the Ghana Police Service must know that as a party that has just exited government in less than a year, we have our eyes and ears on the ground and on them, knowing what the NDC is noted for. The IGP has also assured us that the police have completed their deployment plan and will make the lists of their deployed officers available to the various political parties. On the honor of the IGP, the MPP demands the requested list of the senior officers to be deployed to each electoral area and the regional commanders who will be assisting them. We also request the IGP that all police officers on duty for the election must wear their official name tags, for easy identification and the avoidance of infiltration by the thugs that are planned to be included. We make this reasonable request with the hindsight of the police brutalities on the non-violent Let My Vote Count Alliance demonstrators in September 2015, where several demonstrators were trapped and mercilessly assaulted and one lost his eyes in the process. Learning from the unresolved incidents from the Ablekuma North parliamentary rerun, the New Patriotic Party will defend itself. The New Patriotic Party will defend itself if the police fail to do so.
That's Richard Ahiagwa. Let's get on to the...
That's the MPP latest allegation.
Let's get on to the telephone lines right now and speak to the Deputy Director of IT and Elections of the NDC, Rashid Tanko Computer rather. Richard is my producer here at TV3 and 3FM, and so just a slight confusion there. But Mr. Tanko, I appreciate you joining us this evening here on Hot Edition. How do you begin to respond to these claims? Because these are very straightforward allegations the NPP has put before you. They say you're training thugs, you're going to put them in uniforms, and you're going to have them foment trouble at Akwetia, reason for which they're asking that, look, give us the names of the police officers who are going to be at Akwetia so that when we see persons who are not police officers, we arrest them by ourselves and hand them over to the police.
Let me say good evening to you and your cherished listeners. You see, the MPP, they are not serious people. I've been saying it time and again, they are not serious. We told them during our meeting with IGP that they should invest in training their officers to understand the nuances of the electoral system that we are running in Ghana. Today, I'm in Akwetia. We are training our party agents. We have zoned it to 4 zones in Akwetia, executing the training. Today, we are in Accra doing press conference saying we are training tax. We are not training them even at hidden places. We are training them at public places, churches, and classrooms that we have. The police are all over the place. I can send you footage, videos, and pictures. Go to my timeline on WhatsApp. You will see me posted a picture there. Once we are doing training of our party agents to man the polling station for us, comes the September 2nd, they are doing press conference saying we are training tax. You see how unserious they are? And then they will come on the election day and be causing confusion because they don't even understand what the election is all about. There's officers don't understand the election. You saw what happened, how a person, because she was ignorantly asking questions about election that she herself contested, she doesn't even understand. That's the problem we have with them. We said we are pleased with the police deployment. We are fine with it. They have issues with the police. The same police that worked with them for 8 years, the NDC has not added even 1% to the police structure as of now. Yet they say they don't have confidence in them. Instead of them to come to the grounds, they are there doing press conferences. That's how they are going to lose.
But Mr. Tanko, isn't there a certain element of concern that is legitimate in their demand that let us know the security personnel who are going to be on the ground? Because by-elections, as we've known it, and we've been having a lot of conversations about by-elections and the fact that even at Ablekuma North, where there was just a rerun of 19 polling stations, persons associated to the NDC have been arrested, have been convicted, yet to be convicted, but they've pleaded guilty to election malpractices and engaging in thuggery at Ablekuma North. That is a legitimate concern for them to raise and say that based on what we've seen at Ablekuma North, there's justifiable enough reason to say that the NDC can repeat same again.
Nobody was found to have this involved in any election malpractices in Ablekuma North. No, there was no election malpractices. There was issue at one polling station, which was occasioned by the ignorance of MPP lady who brought a pepper spray to that polling station and was asking ignorant questions that led to this kind of thuggery. And today, interestingly enough, they have to applaud the police, the Ghana Police Service, and applaud His Excellency John Dramani Mahama government for having stood up to issues of this nature under his watch, that nobody can come and misbehave at any polling station and get away. Those who were involved in it, 8 of them have been apprehended, sent to court. They accepted guilt, they were convicted, and to be sentenced tomorrow. They are on bail as we speak now. Compare that one to under Richard and his government, 8 years.
That's well and good, and that's commendable on the fact that persons have been arrested, they have been prosecuted, they've pleaded guilty, they will be convicted tomorrow. But it doesn't stop anybody from saying that somebody will do it again and will just be convicted if the person has a legitimate consent.
That tells you that our government is proactive and will not allow such matter to be swept under the carpet. We won't do that. And that is why we are saying that we have pledged to support the police to make sure that we will have a very peaceful election in Akotia.
And by support,
people are saying that they don't even trust the police. They don't have confidence in the police. And I'm saying that the same thing they did at Yawasu West Wagon. Beat up people, Azugu and his group. Then they killed people at Kichimasaf and at the Center in Savuligu during the 2020 election. What has come of it? Today they are crying for all over the place. There's some 2 slaps, another thing. They are all over the place talking of arrest them, prosecute them. Today they are even asking of pictures of those people who slapped. Should we ask pictures of those who shot and killed those innocent people? What are they talking about? We are saying that, look, the law will work here in Akotia. Nobody is bringing any foreign material here. And nobody is bringing anybody to come and say, you are bringing people to protect you.
Right.
Nobody is coming here for any protection. The police will to protect everyone who is here.
Right. Mr. Tanko, I appreciate you. I'll just hold you briefly and then pick the thoughts as well of Dr. Samuel Ofri as well on this matter. The NPP's call that, look, they want full details, disclosures as to police personnel who will be at Akwetia because they do not trust the police and they fear there will be a breakout of violence.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, Mr. Free, I can hear you, sir.
No, all right, okay, Mawuena, yes. Based on Blekuman North violence has made the MPP, to use it as a basis to demand certain kind of actions based on what happened, and you cannot begrudge the MPP for that because of what happened. And even if it was not even an intention or good intention, they will use it. And it's politics that is at work here. And technically, they will want to use any other ways to demand that certain kind of request from the police. So I believe that the police need to let the stakeholders believe that they are ready to protect the elections, the by-elections, and that is what matters. And the MPP will take it from the different angle, trying to accuse the NDC of thuggery and whatever that they think that will give them an advantage. And it is politics, and I think the MPP is doing that as it is. So I think that is what is going on there.
That's what's going on there, and their demand that they want to see a list of individuals who will be serving on the grounds on that specific day. That's within their rights, or it's a bit too far-fetched.
You see, the MPP, because that's why sometimes when we talk about the police trying to be professional, some people might think that we are being hard, or the police allow themselves to be used by these politicians as well. And because of what happened, now the NPP is trying to demand something that even is beyond, just to push the police to let them know that they are on the other side of the situation of how to make the police uncomfortable. Well, I don't know whether the police will agree to these demands, but I think that because of lack of trust, they still want to push the police to the wall. But I think these things are far, because you can't if you can't trust the police, then how do you
proceed to be a part of?
They will manage the elections, So I think that they have to give the police the benefit of the doubt, but not to push the police to the wall in terms of demanding things that are not, at least to put the police integrity to a certain level that we might not believe that the police is even at work.
Right.
So I think that is what the MPP want to do. But I think, maybe on my view, I think it's too much.
Right.
They have to trust the police and trust the IGP, as he has said. And now they've assured them that there will be no soldiers that will be at the police station. So let's give the police the benefit. And the police has even done well to send these packs that happened. That is the one that is Blekumanov to the court, and now they have been convicted. And tomorrow, hopefully, they are going to have their judgment. And I think that is what I personally was having a problem with the police, because I was based on previous experiences of what happened in terms of by-elections and other elections, you see. But I was having that doubt, but I think it has changed based on what the police.
The course of action we've seen.
Yes. So
right.
I'm convinced that the police is at work now.
Great. Doc, I'll just hold you briefly and then I'll wrap up with Mr. Rashid Tanko. So you met with EC officials as well today in Akwiti. Are you satisfied with the process thus far, Mr. Tanko?
Very well. In fact, we are satisfied with the process. We met them this morning. We had fruitful discussions with them, and everything is on course. They indicated to us when they will deploy all their materials to the polling stations and all that. And so we are satisfied. We are there doing our training on the grounds, training our party agents and officers who are going to man the polling stations. We are busy training them. They can continue to do their press conferences in Accra. That's their cup of tea. But we are very sure and confident with the Ghana Police Service. And let's put it on record. Look, the National Election Security Task Force is made up of the police, Ghana Armed Forces, Immigration Service, Customs, Fire Service, and prisons. They form the Ghana Election Security Task Force.
Right.
That is led by the police. And so somebody should not sit ignorantly and say, I don't want to see military, I don't want to see military. Yes, the military don't come to the polling stations, but they are on standby. They are part of it. It is when they are invited. And in any case, in the constituency, look, there are issues of Galamsey. They have been here before even we arrived there to start our business of campaigning for the election. The military has been here, trying to bring up people with the Galamsey. So if you see a military car moving around and going on their business, and you go on the holding press conference and saying that the military will be declared as persona non grata, that's your cup of tea. You will get the shock of your life. We cannot stop them from operating to do whatever they are supposed to. The state will not stop working because of by-election.
All right. I'm sure we'll have a lot more conversations on this, but I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Rashid Tanko Computer. He is the Deputy Director of IT and Elections of the NDC. Doc, I'll just come to you as we wrap up this conversation, now pivoting to the filing of nominations. We've seen Kennedy Agyapong, we've seen Kwabena Agyapong as well, Brian Achampong expected. The concern continues to remain the nature and the form in which the politics is taken or is going for the NPP, even in this internal contest. It still does appear leadership is not having a grasp, despite a number of releases about the nature and form these campaigns should take.
Well, Mawuena, I think so far the process is going on for the aspirants to submit their forms, and it's so interesting to see the people following them, dancing and drumming. I think it's so enjoyable to be there in a way if you belong to any of these camps. But we believe that as they will check the way the words of exchange among themselves, and how they will avoid these acrimonies. It's unfortunate that some few days ago we heard from these Mawuena Agyapong accusations and how tribal sentiment and those kind of bigotry, some of these things need to be avoided. And we believe that if they go on well with ideas and about how they will ensure that the party will be united, and at the same time how they will bring Ghana to the expected goals for the citizens, I think that will make a big difference. But I think the leadership or these aspirants should try to speak to their communicators to ensure that they think about the party unity than their own selfish interests. But I think, as you asked about the comment or the statement of I think Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, of some victimization and that kind of thing. I think it's based on experience, and I think also that the leadership or the election committee that has been set up by the party will ensure that people will be treated fairly. I've been saying that when it comes to elections, all of them have to be treated fairly in terms of the process and the procedure or whatever comes along with, and I think that is how it works. But they should really target the delegates more, and not to use the media as a platform to come against each other in a hard way, because the delegate that tends to decide who becomes the flag bearer of the party. If not, I think that the leadership of the MPP, as I've been saying, that they have lost control, but they have to ensure that they put them together and make the process work. If not, I'm sorry that the party will be heading towards a bigger defeat in 2028. So if they are not united, I'm sorry for their victory if it comes to 2028.
Doc, I appreciate you speaking to us as always, and we'll keep in touch.
My pleasure, Donna.
That's Dr. Samuel Efree speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition, here on 3FM 92.7. We're moving on to our next story this evening, having to do with a statement that's come through from the Ministry of Interior and as well as the National Security Council, containing an executive instrument imposing a curfew on Sawla-Tuna-Kalba and its environs. And there's been a development in that area. But Christabel, you have that statement. What does it say?
Well, this curfew, like you said, runs daily from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it takes effect today. The decision follows land dispute issues that have triggered security threats in Sawla, Benwiri, and Giniri and adjoining communities. Now, about 10 persons have died since violence erupted over the weekend, resulting in 10 deaths, with hundreds of other residents displaced. Well, this statement was signed by the minister, which he imposed some restrictions on all persons in the Bole township and its environs. And it says, one, that there's a total ban on carrying firearms, ammunition, or any offensive weapons, and any person found with any firearms or ammunition will be arrested and prosecuted. Two, no two or more persons should be seen on motorbikes throughout the day. And finally, no war regalia should be worn throughout the day. And we're going to get on to the phone, Mawuena.
Absolutely. And Christopher Amwako is a man in the region. He's been following up on this development for us all through. Christopher, now we understand there's a curfew that's come through. Surely this will mean security has been beefed up a lot more in the area now. What can you tell us?
Yes, so Mawuena, as it stands now, people in the Sawla-Kalba and Tuna Township, as well as those in the Bole community, are beginning to fold up their daily activities to make way for the curfew to begin at 6 o'clock. Right now, the police are also preparing to, as it were, ensure that they move around when it is 6 p.m. But let me also say that for today, a lot of security patrols have taken place, the police going to and fro the affected communities. But Mawuena, interestingly, the burnings and attacks are still ongoing in the Sawla enclave and the Bole area.
And for the residents, how is news of a curfew coming to them? Because we know some were still fleeing. There are attempts to provide food, shelter, and the likes. How are they taking all of this development in the last few days?
They are not happy. They are not happy that they are suffering the brunt of this conflict that took place in some communities and not the areas that have been affected by the curfew. For instance, the Sola Township, the people are saying that it is peaceful, and so they don't see any reason why a curfew will be imposed on the town. If you go to the Bole community, same complaints are being made regarding the curfew. And so they are not taking the curfew lightly, and they are not also happy.
Are they intending to comply with this? Because we understood from what you were telling us yesterday that people were still fleeing. Now we're learning of reports that the tensions is escalating to areas like Bole and the likes. Is this curfew also going to be stretching to these areas, and how is the enforcement going to look like from the part of the citizens?
So for now, we are yet to see how the security operatives will enforce this curfew starting today, because we are yet to see their actions. But for the residents, they believe that even though they are not happy, but they cannot compromise when it comes to abiding by the security laid down rules that has come to them as a result of this conflict. And so they will have no option than to, as it were, just succumb to the hours that have been given or allocated to them as a result of the curfew. They are supposed to go indoors by 6 p.m. and wake up or leave their rooms by 6 a.m. the next day. And so for the enforcement, we are yet to see what is going to happen. But I just left the police station briefly because the gender minister has just arrived in town to go to the police station to meet with the displaced victims. She's currently preparing to meet with the Sawla-Tuna, where she will have some talks with the chief of the community. And so, but before I left the police station, I saw that police vehicles are being heated up, police visibility at the police station is becoming intense because probably they are going to prepare for the curfew hours or move to some communities to ensure that they patrol till the next day.
Right then, Christopher, thank you very much. Let's get on to the other telephone line and speak to Richard Kumado as a foreign security consultant. Mr. Kumado, I appreciate you. Yesterday, I engaged you briefly on the situation. There's been development on that front. Would you say in the right direction, one that can see to the end of this tension, which is leaving people displaced?
Curfews are usually short-term measures, and they are imposed to ensure that security officers have a control of the area. I believe that it's in that line that a curfew has been imposed. I can also understand the difficulties the people will go through, particularly the communities which are not directly affected by this conflict. To the extent that they have become the holding area, it is good they also enjoy the curfew, as bad as it may be. What is important in all this is that the IGP's visit, increase of the numbers, they have stabilized the place, the killings have been stopped, and what they are left to do in the next action as a strategic move is to continue to build up safety and security assurances for the communities and making sure that the people who started this conflict do not return to the communities and kill many more people.
Right then, Mr. Kumado, we'll leave it here. I'm sure we'll come back to you again for a bit more. That's Richard Kumado speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition. But we're moving away from this because that story which broke some days ago having to do with an alleged assault at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, what you know as RAGE, the minister tasked a committee to investigate and look into it and report back to them in a week. There's details of that. What do we know?
Well, they're out with a report, and this report says it's found no medical evidence of fracture or any shoulder dislocation, as earlier claimed. According to the report, the nurse Rejoice Chocho-Bote reported her injuries a day after the incident on August 18. Medical records indicated she suffered no broken wrist or dislocated shoulder, but was treated for pain, placed on bed rest, and given psychological support. Interestingly, the findings contradict earlier claims that the attack left her with severe physical injuries. The incident, captured in a viral video, showed relatives of a patient clashing with staff at the hospital's emergency department, raising public concern about the safety of health workers. Meanwhile, the nurse has filed a civil lawsuit against social media personality Ralph St. Williams, who is popularly known as Ralph the Fellow Ghanaian, seeking 7 million cedis in damages for alleged assault and defamation. Let's take a listen to Dr. Lawrence Ofori-Buedu, who is committee chair, addressing the media.
The committee also visited the nurse in question, the rotation nurse, Miss Chocho Rejoice, who was alleged to have been physically attacked and was receiving care at the hospital. When the committee visited, indeed, we saw the patient in bed. The document available to us from the medical record, as I already said, had no indication of fracture or dislocation of the said staff. And he has received some psychological support as well. The committee was able to chance on the specialist who also attended to her at the ward at the time we visited. And at that time, the staff had been discharged to go home and come for review.
That was Committee Chair Lawrence Ofori-Buedu. Now, Health Minister Kwabena Mintah-Kandor has also been speaking.
Of the recommendations, and I can hear far-reaching recommendations even going beyond Rich Hospital. The next phase of the implementation of the recommendations for me is the most important stage. And so I can assure you that not only are we going to see to it that Rich takes back its glory, but we'll make sure that whatever work you have done will also have positive impact on the rest of the health facilities we have in this country. Most of the recommendations you have mentioned, as I've heard, I am now going to take my time. We'll have a committee in place, and then we'll digest it one after the other and see to the full implementation. But at a glance and on hearing you, most of them we have already started working on it, and people who have monitored the media space will attest to the fact that I've on several occasions mentioned PPP, retooling of our health facilities and all that. So it fits well into government priority areas, and that we'll continue to do whatever it takes to improve upon the health sector of this country. And I'm very sure that we may not be able to make it perfect, but we'll improve upon it. And we're not going to put this report or recommendations on the shelves. Immediately, we are going to start implementing them. I thank you for the opportunity.
That's the Health Minister, Kwabena Mintah-Kandor. Joseph Akabla is joining us in the studio because he's been looking at this report as well in a bit more detail. Interesting start of point where they say there's no, I don't want to call it evidence of a fracture or something. What does the report really say? Because that's catching a lot of fire on the internet.
In fact, let's just read that part of the report verbatim. It says that although there is video evidence of a verbal or word altercation between Ralph, his colleagues and staff members of the hospital, we are yet to receive any video evidence or a witness account of the alleged physical altercation or attack. It goes on to say that there is, however, documentation in the hospital health information management system that the alleged victim, Miss Joyce Chocho-Bote, reported her injuries on her left hand on the next day, 18th August 2025, and was further treated. There was no evidence of fracture to her left wrist or dislocation of her right shoulder joint as documented in her medical records. She was treated with pain relief, bed rest recommended, and received psychological support from a psychologist. And so that is what the report is saying. First and foremost, it makes the point about the injury she had reported, about the fact that what was found on the system, but outside of it, the committee report is saying that no such evidence was found by way of the injuries that have been reported.
But this goes beyond just whether or not the nurse had fractured bones and all of that. What more does this report say, first off, as to whether or not that claim of medical negligence indeed had happened, reason for which we saw some of the things we saw on social media?
In fact, it's the first item that the committee dealt with, and that had to do with the circumstance that led to the alleged delay in providing care to the patient brought in an emergency. The committee found that, and I'm reading now, there was no delay in attending to the patient with suspected head injury, who was the reason behind the agitation by Ralph Williams and the motorbike riders that he had been abandoned. This notwithstanding, the committee made other findings about the service delivery at the facility in terms of the care that is provided. It says that it was found that all the diagnostics, imaging equipment, X-rays, CT scan, MRI at the ED were faulty and non-function. It goes on to say that all images requested at the ED ought to be done outside of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and this has been a contributing factor to delay in disposition from or initiation of definitive care over there. So that is it by way of the care delivery. So it makes the point, first and foremost, that in terms of that particular incident, there was no delay, but beyond that, there were general challenges. It now dealt with the issue of security, because a lot of the videos that we've seen, people have raised questions about how come that was happening. We're moving around, the motor riders were on a compound, among other things. The committee found that the security at the emergency department was grossly inadequate at the time of the incident. The hospital security arrangement of private one security personnel per 12-hourly shift at the emergency department is inadequate, considering the volume and human traffic at the emergency services that it provides. A police post found on the premises is situated far away from the emergency department at Adabraka Police Command. It's usually called upon to the emergency department to help restore calm and order when altercations such as the matter at hand occurs. Then another issue that it dealt with, Mawuena, has to do with the number of nurses and doctors who are on duty at the time.
At the facility.
Yes, the committee found that the number of staff on duty per shift is woefully inadequate. The number of medical officers in the months of August per shift is 1, and you have 3 officers per day, 1 emergency specialist per day. Any other doctors visit the ED as a team on call per day. That is dependent on whether it is trauma or it's medical service that is provided. A total of 7 medical officers and 2 specialists were available for duty in August at the emergency room permanently. And they give an example that out of 88 nursing staff who routinely work at the emergency department every month, only 54 are currently at post. About 34 have vacated post without replacements, and this has brought extreme shortage in the number of nursing staff at the emergency department.
Joseph, thank you very much. But this certainly is a starting point for conversations about staffing, equipment availability, amongst many other things, for the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. In all of this, I know that, yes, the conversation will center or dominate mostly as to whether or not there was a fractured shoulder or wrist and all of that. But big questions about facility availability at the Ridge Hospital. But let's bring you a bit more stories this evening having to do with the double track system.
GS says it will from Thursday 8th September open the school placement portal to allow students to recheck and confirm their selected schools ahead of the final placement exercise on 17th of September. At a news conference in Accra, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Davis, explained private schools have been included in the placement process. Meanwhile, he has cautioned parents not to pay any bribe to seek placement for their wards. Some results are currently being withheld by WAEC, but Professor Davis insists the GES would adhere strictly to its placement timetable and will not be delayed by any ongoing legal challenges.
Look at the architecture of the BEC system that allocates the students. I mean, that allocate the students. Its main function is to place the students. So yes, there is no cap, because any student who goes through and then get passes, that has to end the student placements placed if there are places available. But then it's not the whole picture. If a student fails their core subject, get 999 in the core subject, that student is not placed. The student has to take the core subject again. So that is what it is. As long as we have the space and the student has passed all the core subjects, the student will be placed, because that is the function of the BEC architecture,
yes.
the system.
Right, DJ. My name is Daniel Okoko. I work with Media General. My question to you: a list of private schools were itemized to be captured under the Fresh HS program. Now, with the placement process, how many are we looking at who are to be placed in the various private institutions? And my final question is on the fact that some results have been withheld by WAEC. And in case the parents should proceed to court and there's a court ruling, what is the structure or the strategy of Ghana Education Service? Is there going to be a leeway or some opportunity to be given to them for placement to be done for them? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Right. We have clear timelines, and we've read the timelines. Yes, so we have clear timelines, and everybody must respect the timelines. So if you are litigating, you have to be mindful of the timelines. At least you see that we have some 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks window to start the placement. So we anticipate that WAEC will resolve all the cases and make sure that we get the students who have issues to be on board for the placement. So that is the plan for now. Students who want to raise issues with WAEC should make sure that the issues are resolved within the time we do the placement. They have 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks window to do that.
You just heard the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Davis, on the widely discussed double-track system. He clarified that it will remain in place until at least 2028 due to infrastructure constraints and increase in student numbers.
Double-track will take some time to go. We cannot reverse the double-track today. We cannot. We will need time to reverse. A committee is in place to address that. We are using multi-approach to get that reversed.
Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Martin Kwekoyisi, has been reassigned to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Government sources confirmed the move to 3 News. The reasons for his reassignment are not yet clear, but it comes after months of mounting pressure on government to remove him from office. Back in April, the National Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association accused the Minerals Commission under Mr. Yisi's leadership of failing to provide effective solutions in the fight against illegal mining. The association argued that the Commission's actions and inactions had worsened land and water degradation. They insisted that reforms at the Commission were critical if government's anti-galamsey campaign was to succeed.
And that's on the latest in relation to Mr. Yisi. And we'll make way now for the very latest from the world of business. Bismarck Awusa is here ready and waiting to bring us that. Then we'll bring the bulletin to an end.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new